Hello, I'm Diego Rodri from the Voice of the Chosen channel. In today's video, we're going to explore the incredible journey of the Chosen, from the first breath to the moment they recognize their divine purpose. We'll discover how each of us is chosen for a special mission and how this reflects in our lives. Are you ready to understand how your story intertwines with a greater plan and how it can transform your perception of the world? So keep watching. I want to know if you've ever felt that you're following a greater purpose in your life. Leave a comment. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up with more content like this. Oh, and please drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from so we can connect even more. From the moment you took your first breath, an invisible force was already at work. You were chosen by something much greater than human understanding. Your soul was set apart from the beginning. It doesn't matter how you were born or where you arrived in this world. The fact is that your existence has a divine purpose traced long before you opened your eyes to this reality. Most people believe that life begins only at birth, but the chosen ones know that the spiritual journey starts well before. Your soul was carefully prepared to be here, living exactly what you are experiencing. Believe me, nothing is by chance. Every detail, from the place you were born to the first words you heard, is all part of a much larger plan. The chosen ones are, from an early age, protected by a greater force. Although you may not remember all the details, if you separate and reflect, you'll realize there were moments when something unusual happened to protect you. It might have been an accident avoided, a word of comfort from someone unexpected, or even that inexplicable feeling of peace amidst chaos. These are the signs of the divine presence accompanying you since childhood, shaping your path and preparing you for the mission that was to come. When you look back, you can begin to understand that all these signs were part of your spiritual training. Even without knowing it, you were being prepared from an early age for the role you would play as a chosen one. Every emotion, every feeling of isolation, every unanswered question was part of something greater. Your divine mission, which began to be designed long before you were aware of it. There comes a moment in the lives of all chosen ones when the weight of this journey begins to manifest more strongly. For many, this occurs in adolescence, a phase filled with questions, changes, and above all, confusion. It's when the feeling of being different, which was subtly perceptible in childhood, becomes a reality you can no longer ignore. The inner struggle begins, and the chosen ones feel this with a greater intensity than most people. You might remember times when you looked around and felt that you didn't belong anywhere. While other teenagers seemed so sure of their paths, you wrestled with deep doubts and questions that no one could answer. Insecurities arose, but at the same time, there was something inside you that knew these doubts were a reflection of the spiritual calling you had yet to fully comprehend. This is the burden of being chosen, to know deep down that your life would not be like others. While your friends worried about superficial things, you found yourself immersed in thoughts about the meaning of life, your place in the world, and why it felt like you were on a completely different journey. Expectations imposed by the world seemed not to fit with what you felt inside. There was a constant battle between trying to adapt to social norms and the invisible force that pushed you away from them. You felt misunderstood, perhaps even a bit lost, but this inner struggle was necessary. It was the universe's way of preparing you, making you question so that one day you could find the answers. Chosen ones face intense trials in adolescence. It's at this moment that the awakening begins to intensify. Doubts multiply, and emotions seem to be always at the surface. It's not uncommon for many chosen ones to experience feelings of loneliness, isolation, or even inadequacy. This doesn't happen by chance. These internal battles are part of the spiritual growth process. It's as if your soul is being refined and purified so that you can, little by little, align with your divine purpose. And as if that weren't enough, many chosen ones feel that while they are struggling internally, they also begin to attract external challenges. Life seems to get harder, situations more complicated, and relationships more challenging. This is common for those who have been set apart for a greater mission. The trials that arise in adolescence are like a test, a way to prepare you for the responsibilities that lie ahead. The universe never places in your life anything you are not capable of overcoming, but in the moment, it can be hard to understand that. The pressure of being different, of carrying something so grand within, can feel too heavy. The transition to adulthood is a crucial point for the chosen ones. After a teenage years marked by doubts and internal conflicts, there comes a moment when the pieces of the puzzle start to fall into place. What once seemed like a mix of confusion and uncertainty begins to make sense, and you start to realize that the experiences you've lived up to now had a purpose far greater than you could imagine. From your very first breath, you were destined to follow a unique path. This is a truth that many spend their entire lives without realizing, but the chosen ones always feel that something is different. There's an uneasiness within you, a sense that your life has a profound meaning. Since the moment your lungs filled with air for the first time, you carried a spiritual mark that cannot be ignored. This calling is what makes you question, seek, and feel different, even when those around you can't understand why. You may not have been aware of it from the start, but everything you faced up to this point was preparation for something greater. Since your birth, a sacred energy has guided every step of yours, protecting you and preparing your soul for the moment you would finally awaken to your true mission. Now that you've begun to remember who you really are and the power that has always been within you, this is just the beginning of your journey. From a very early age, you started to feel different. Perhaps it was something you couldn't quite explain, but the feeling was there, present in every moment of your childhood. While other children seemed carefree, you had an uncommon sensitivity. You saw the world in a different light. There was a depth to your thoughts and emotions that sometimes felt isolating. This was not by accident. The chosen ones are touched by something spiritual from the first years of life. Remember those moments of solitude when it felt like no one around you understood you? That happened because, even without knowing, you were already in tune with a much greater energy. Perhaps you spent hours in silence, observing the world, reflecting on things that seemed to have no explanation. In those moments, you were not alone. Even if you couldn't see it, a spiritual presence accompanied you, guiding and protecting you, preparing your soul for the challenges to come. You may remember situations where you felt an invisible force guiding you, steering you away from dangers or placing you in seemingly improbable situations. When we look back, we realize that everything had a purpose. Nothing you experienced was in vain. Every event, every person who crossed your path was part of a spiritual preparation. It was as if the universe was shaping you for something greater, something you might not have fully understood in childhood, but that began to reveal itself little by little. Many chosen ones report that in childhood they had experiences that others would consider strange or supernatural. Perhaps you dreamed of things that seemed impossible, or had the feeling that you knew something before it happened. These experiences are signs of your spiritual connection, your sensitivity, and your role as a chosen one. The journey of the chosen is marked by discoveries, challenges, and a constant search for meaning. It is a path that may be lonely, but carries the promise of a greater purpose. And as you move forward on this journey, always remember that the force guiding you is stronger than you imagine. When you recognize your true self and accept your mission, it's as if a light is turned on within you. The journey of the chosen is not an easy road, but it is the most rewarding you can take. So, open your heart to the calling and allow yourself to be guided. The universe is always by your side, and the answers you seek are closer than you think. And remember, you are never alone on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next content. Together, we will continue exploring the wonders of our being and the universe.